Eamon O'Hara, Soba Mesa Director of Operations. Eamon has been at Soba since inception in 2007. He is a former resident of Soba Malibu who found purpose and meaning with the guidance of Soba's supportive and caring philosophies. As the Operations Director of Soba Mesa, he ensures that the effective methods of treatment and living are carried out in all aspects of a client's day. Soba Mesa is the newest member to the Soba Addiction Recovery family. Located in beautiful Mesa, Arizona, it provides drug and alcohol detox, intensive outpatient, sober living, and residential programs utilizing the proven Soba whole person treatment methodology based on the psychological, physical, spiritual, and social needs unique to each individual.
Everybody knows about Malibu and everybody knows about Soba in Malibu, but why Arizona? Why would somebody choose Arizona?
Well, the reason why we ended up in Arizona is we were treating people around the country and they were having to go to check in with probation in Maricopa County. And every time they would leave treatment to go check in, they would get put in jail for not supposed to be out of the state. So we came there, we're set up there, and now if they want to keep someone in Maricopa County and they're offering only jail, we can step in and say, we're here, we're in the county, you can offer treatment also.
And we certainly know treatment is going to work more effectively than jail.
Every time.
Yes, of course. Do you have to live in Arizona to enroll at Soba Mesa?
No, you can live anywhere in the nation.
So statistically, is Soba more effective than other treatment programs, and why is that?
Yes, definitely, and there's a variety of reasons.
We do independent programming at Soba. In other words, we like our treatments to be not so cookie cutter. We want everyone to have a program that's just right for them. Why do you think Soba Mesa has that type of programming?
So the individual tailored program is, from the basic things like nutrition, people have certain things that they can or like to eat. That's, obviously part of an individualized meal plan, but also we get their goals. What do you want to do, in a year, 5 years? Obviously, usually the first thing on the list is I want to stay sober. So more than that, we believe, okay, to stay sober, you need purpose. So what is the goals that are going to get you there? Sometimes it's, I want to go to school or back to school. I want to work
Maybe get a job.
Yep, exactly. Start with a job. Things that make them feel good, work on a career. If you don't know any of, what your path may be, then we'll give you some ideas of what's worked for people in the past.
It's really true, because when you take away the addiction and the alcohol, you've got to replace it with something else. You have to know what's worked for them in the past, what hasn't worked for them in the past.
Right.
And my understanding is in that area, a lot of them really never got long-term treatment. They sort of had that round robin where they went to detox and then they were out, and then they went to detox and then they were out. So what's so amazing about Soba is that long-term care. So explain to somebody who doesn't understand what that would look like. In other words, first you have residential, then you have day treatment, then you have intensive outpatient. Maybe just kind of go through the steps of what somebody would see if they have a loved one that would go through treatment at Soba.
Right, so the whole process is set up to be a step down, so that basically when you've completed the program, we're sending you out to be a productive member of society. And then you're holding yourself accountable at that time because you've gone through the program. So the program will start with, first off, the detox, getting you off of the drugs or alcohol. And then it'll be a very structured, regimented 30 days of treatment to really find out, who you are, get the cobwebs out, build a relationship.
Sort of wake up.
Exactly. Build a relationship with your therapist, get to know the other people you're going to be spending some time with, who are your peers, all that. And then after that time, we like to release some freedom a little bit to, test the waters, but also holding them accountable.
So you're giving them just a little bit of trust.
Definitely. It's all about trust. It's all about, do I want to be sober? And if they're not there yet, saying, yes, I 100% want to, they know that the accountability they're coming back to, if they go out with a group or have to go to a family function or something, they're going to be held accountable when they come back. And that's one of the biggest reasons that treatment is effective.
Exactly. I always felt like when I worked at Soba, I started in Soba Malibu, it felt like a family. It felt like, and I'm not really just saying this, there was this love and there was this caring, and then a lot of the staff had actually gone through Soba and ended up, you know, they started at Soba in residential as a client or patient, and then they ended up working for Soba. So what kind of role model does that provide for somebody just entering treatment when they see, wow, look where this person is? Like,
Yeah.
for instance, yourself.
Yeah,
even.
I can definitely attest to that. Like I always tell people, I didn't choose to work in treatment, it chose me. I went through the program, I started having a life that I could be proud of, and then I wanted to stick around and help other people achieve the same thing. And now it's been 8 years. I have a life past my wildest dreams. I have an amazing family.
You have 2 children. I mean, who
two
would have
small.
thought? I mean, I knew you when you were just whatever, and look at you now. It's amazing.
And that's sobriety, and that's
Yeah.
what Soba can start for people. I didn't know I wanted to be sober.
Exactly.
You know, Greg showed up in my parents' living room, and I just needed a break, I thought, and it was the best decision I ever made. And that was actually one of the things, too, I wanted to talk about is I wasn't going to get myself sober. My parents intervened. Had my parents not intervened, I wouldn't be sitting with you here right now. I probably would either be in jail or dead from the way life was going at that point. So that is really a big thing is don't wait for, you know, your friends, your loved ones, your sons, your daughters' addiction to go away. It is not going to go away. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until there's some consequences that you really can't get yourself out of very easy.
So then what would someone expect? They pick up the phone, they call Soba, they're going to talk to someone in admissions. You know, what are they going to hear on the other line?
You know, how have you talked to the person? Are they open to going to treatment? If they're not, then we'll go through steps of how do we bring that up, you know, to get them into treatment. If they are willing to go to treatment, have they gone to treatment before? Obviously, what are they using? That's a big thing so that we know how to focus on a detox.
And then, of course, you're going to have some of those naysayers that have put their kids in treatment over and over and over again. What makes Soba different? I know what makes Soba different. What is your opinion of what makes Soba so different?
We don't give up. And you never know when it's going to stick.
Exactly.
You're not ready until you're ready. You know, if someone was having trouble battling cancer and they're trying the treatment and they try it once or twice and it doesn't work, do they give up and say, you know what? And maybe sometimes the answer is yes, but, you know, we fight for our lives and we fight for people we love.
And they become a family and they have a community and they have something they can count on. They might even be able to work one day at Soba. So there's a lot more at stake here to go to Soba, really. They're not just going to be this revolving door where they come in and they come out and they come in and they come out. It's completely different. They have a chance. They have a chance because they have time, and that's what they need is the time.
Right. When you go through treatment, this is the way I like to look at treatment and sobriety. You are able to live up to your maximum potential, whatever that may be. And new clients, they don't know what their maximum potential is because sometimes they don't even want to continue living, or they're so low in motivation they can't even get out of bed in the morning.
One thing that I know Soba has that other places don't have is the fact that they get a lot of therapy, they get a lot of individual attention. A lot of treatment centers just put them in groups all day, but at Soba they really believe in that individual program where, let's say, they're dealing with trauma issues. They need that one-on-one time. Would you say that that's
Yeah.
common at Soba
Yeah,
today?
and we acknowledge that there's underlying issues that people use over. And therapy is the best way to treat that. While treating that, we provide a nice community environment so that you don't feel like you're the only person going through that. You're around people, your peers that
So
are...
you have both. You have group and individual.
And a community
Exactly.
to help you really go through the hard times and people to lift you up. Whereas if you're going to go home to your quiet, old, dark apartment, you're just going to go use again.
You're going to be isolating. You need people.
Correct.
So that brings me to the question of 12 steps. We know 12 steps work. Some of Soba programs are non-12 step. Most are 12 step. Is Soba Mesa a 12 step program?
Yes, it's definitely highly, highly, highly suggested that people work 12-step program. It's the saving grace when you leave treatment and end up in you know, a hard place in life, because life gets hard sometimes.
Why do you think 12 steps work?
Because it worked for me.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Exactly.
And it's worked for so many other people. You know, I'm a pretty simple guy. Why reinvent the wheel?
Right. It's a way of living. It gives them a way of living, gives them structure.
Right.
So what has been some of your greatest success stories that you've seen?
Well, besides myself,
Exactly.
there's a bunch of guys and gals that I can think of off the top of my head.
And end up working and doing great things in the community, end up giving back, I know some that have become therapists themselves.
Oh yeah.
Gone back to school to become chemical dependency counselors. You know, they're just tons
Even
of
people
stories.
who don't want to work in this field and that's not their calling, they're able to go pursue whatever they want and really excel at it. You know, that work ethic, that common bond of, you know, just being a good person, it gets you pretty far.
They get, it's sort of like the values change as they get sober and they get more time. I know you have a great alumni program. I would assume that Mesa has a great alumni program where everybody gets together and they stay in touch. What
Tuesday
about?
night. Tuesday night at one of our facilities is
Great.
the alumni night.
Really powerful stuff when you can go back and see what all your peers are doing and know that they're always there. It's like you're stepping out into the world and then you can step back in and know that your sober family's always there for you.
Right, and vice versa. You know, you're there for the new people, and when you can connect with someone new, it makes you feel good, and it's all about service work. You know,
Exactly.
it works.
So what would you say to that, either that parent out there that's just lost, just feels desperate, doesn't know what to do? What would you say to that person right now?
Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Call somebody who does this, and see, you know, where you can go. And if you hit a dead end, try again. My mom hit so many dead ends,
But it worked.
before she, you know, eventually got a hold of Greg.
So is SOBA expensive to enroll in?
We will do everything within our power to keep the cost as minimal as possible, because how do you put a price on life?
Exactly. Yeah, my understanding is that SOBA works with people. They use insurance, they find other ways, they find ways to get people in, to
Yeah.
get the help that they need.
If I'm talking about myself, my parents didn't have two pennies to rub together, and Greg helped them out. So there's always
always a
options.
way. Great. So who do you think benefits the most from SOBA?
Well, besides the individual client, the entire family and friend network.
We have a lot of families that are listening to us right now. I'd love to know, how does SOBA support the family system?
Well, it's definitely a family disease, and we want to help rebuild the dynamic that once was. So we'll do individual sessions as well as family sessions. We'll invite the family to either partake over the phone, or they can come out and really see what we're all about, and, you know, encompass the whole family, you know, and treat the whole family.
And that gets me to the next question, which is, when someone is discharged, what might they expect? You know, in other words, that to me is, I think, the missing link in a lot of programs, is that they're discharged out into the world and it's like, okay, now what? So when they leave SOBA, what might they expect with the discharge plan? And I know you have excellent case managers that help them to the next level.
Right. So one of the things that we're hoping by the time someone is ready to leave is they're either actively working, or they're searching for work, or they're in school, something along those lines that is giving them sense of purpose and drive. So also, we really want them to be accountable in their, you know, within themselves. We've held them accountable for however length of time they've stayed with us. The next step is stay connected, you know, be around our alumni meeting, things like this, but also get to the point with 12-step, with your therapist, doing, you know, uncovering the underlying issues, all of these things, so that you now in your core want to be sober yourself, because that's really what it comes down to. Who are you answering to when there's no one else around?
So you're giving them the skills and the tools so that when they leave, they can use these skills and tools out there in the real world.
Absolutely.
Because anybody can be safe in rehab, but it's what are you going to do when you're outside of rehab?
Yeah, life gets tough, life gets busy, and, you know, use your tools that you learn.
Does the SOBA staff stay in touch?
Yes, the case managers are the ones who will stay in touch, follow up with people, anything along those lines.
That's great. If someone was interested in contacting you or somebody over at Soba Mesa, how would they do that?
So we have a website, sobamesa.com. There's a line on there that will ring an intake rep. There's also a box that if you don't want to call yet, you can shoot an email and we will get it to the appropriate parties.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Eamon.
thanks for having me.
Okay.